Kettlebell racks and cleans are just fancy ways of saying holding the kettlebell and picking up the kettlebell. The kettlebell rack is how you hold it. You can hold it in either a front rack with one kettlebell or one kettlebell in one hand, or a goblet rack with one kettlebell in two hands. So this is a goblet rack. It's the more basic one that we work with in the beginning. And it's where you hinge down and pick up the kettlebell and then hold it with your hands right around the bottom of the horns and the side of the hand pressed up against the side of the bell. Your shoulders go down your back, your elbows go towards the floor, and that kettlebell sits just in front of you. When the kettlebell gets bigger, sometimes it might end up leaning on your chest a little bit, and that's okay. But try not to have it out here like you're gonna curl it, because that's too much work. You wanna think of being nice and proud and holding it right in front of you. So we use this for goblet squats primarily, or other lower body exercises like lunges. You can also press from a goblet stance, but the main way you're gonna see it is with a squat. So then the second way you can hold the kettlebell is in a front rack with one hand, or you can actually hold two kettlebells at the same time, but in Shibis we're probably just going to be using the one. So you've got to clean it up, which we'll go over in a minute, and then we have it sitting in front of us. It's a little actually easier to hold a front rack because your hand is holding that bell in place, and it's not just your grip strength, it's kind of hooked on you here. But you want to make sure that you have a nice straight wrist. Straight wrist means the back of the wrist and the forearm are lined up. This is not a straight wrist. We want to have nice straight wrists. The straighter your wrist, the more you're strengthening your grip. The muscles on the back of the forearm are getting strengthened, and the more comfortable it's going to be to hold the kettlebell there. So again, the elbow goes straight down. Some common mistakes we see are people holding the kettlebell like this, which is going to cause a lot of wrist discomfort. Elbow coming up to support it with the shoulder, but ultimately that's going to make you too tired, or holding it too low, or like way too high. We just want to have our shoulder going down the back, feeling very comfortable and relaxed in this front rack. So to get up into the rack, we have to clean the kettlebell or pick up the kettlebell. For the Goblet Clean, it's pretty straightforward. You stand over the bell and you do a hip hinge, just like you're going to do a deadlift. But instead of deadlifting the bell, as you stand up, you're going to pull that bell and shift your grip into the goblet position. So it comes down. You hinge, send those hips back, shoulders down your back. Pick it up a little bit, feel the tension, and as my hips come forward, my hands shift around the bell. This is the Goblet Clean. The other way you can clean the bell is with a single arm clean. The single arm clean is a lot more complicated, and I'll show it now, but we will get into it with smaller little bits of instruction as time goes on. So don't worry too much about this, but what it looks like is you start with your kettlebell in one hand, you hinge down, and then as I stand up, my elbow needs to shoot back. That's the most important thing here. And that kettlebell is ultimately just going from sitting on the floor to sitting in my hand in the same position. It's swiveling around my hand. And the main mechanism that gets it back is pulling my elbow really far back as I stand up and punching through. But don't worry about that for now. If you do need to hold the kettlebell in a rack, front rack position, before we get into how to do the clean, you can do a cheat clean. So we grab onto the kettlebell with the hand it wants to live in. We grab onto it with the other, and then use both hands to get that kettlebell into place. We can hinge down for this, and as you stand up, pull the elbow back and just swivel the kettlebell around into that nice strong rack position.